Jednom davno je živjela vještica na vrhu brda blizu malog sela. Rijetko su je seljani vidjeli pa nisu mogli opisati kako izgleda, je li stara ili mlada, lijepa ili ružna. Nisu se sjećali da je išla u školu s njima, da je bila jako pametna i tiha. Danas je ona njima poput sna, ne misli ništa loše o njoj. Svaka vještica ima tajnu o sebi. Ponekad su one moćne u svijetu da nešto promijene, pa su bila mračnija doba i nevene žene u drugom dobima su plaćali umjesto njih. Dobre vještice postoje, ali daleko od ljudi, zbog straha da bi i uvrijedili. Vještica na brdu nije dobra, jede izgubljenu djecu koji jedu njezinu kuću od bombona. Njezin tata bio je slastičar koji je napravio bombone, čokolade i sladoled. 50 godina radio je bez prestanka uz mnogo stresa zbog nezadovoljnih posjetnika koji nisu nikada šutjeli. Ne, želim lizalicu, ne želim bombončić. Predomislila sam se i želim drugu kuglu od jagode, ne želim od žvake, odmah. To nije zelene boje, brzo zamijeniti to, imam tulum. Rekao sam 10 komada, ne 9, ma dajte. Kad je umro od srčanog srca, samo je vještica stajala ispred groba svećenika. Na taj dan se preselila k striču njegovoj ženi s kojima je živio njezin rođak Ivica. Stric bio je dobar čovjek, ali njegova je žena bila jako loša. Nije željela djecu, ali u tom trenutku imala ga dvoje, pa kad je njezin muž otišao iz kuće, zapovjedila je da Ivica i Marica spremaju kuću, sjeckaju plodnice i love zečeve. Jednog dana su se Ivica i Marica izgubili u šumi. Slijedili su rijeku dok nisu se našli na polju na kojem je bila kuća od bombona. Mirisali im je prefino, a Marica je podsjećala na tatu pa je malo plakala dok je Ivica započeo jesti velike bombone. Marice, moraš probati, nisam nikada okusio slatkiše poput ovi, fino. Naravno da vještice mogu osjetiti djecu. Uvijek znaju da su im blizu jer je namirišu. Pa je vještica dobro namirisala Ivicu i Maricu, te je već izrezala povrće, upalila peć, odvorila kave za njih. Samo sekundu i doći će, rekla je naglas. Doći će. Prije nego što je Marica mogla zagristi u bombon, Ivica je već završio s vratima. Unutar kuće nije bilo isto kao van, te je Marica postajala nervozna. Hajdemo sasvim što je tu, viknuo je Ivica. Ne znam, ali mislim da to nije dobra ideja. Kukavice, nestao je u kući. Dok je Marica šetala oko kuće, vidjela je sjeno uz kuću. Kad je okrenula glavu, sjene nije bilo. Zgrabila je šalokatore prozora i otvorila ih. Vidjela je veliku praznu sobu samo sa kavezom. U kavezu je sjedao Ivica. S velikim očima Ivica je mahao Marici da bježi. Neću, odgovorila Marica u glavi, ali kako bi popnem kroz prozor da mu pomognem? Čula je nešto i brzo se maknula s prozora. Otvorila je usta zapitati nešto kad se sjena vratila pokraj nje. Sve više i više je rasla ispred njenih očiju dok se nije samo srnilo u svakom smjeru. Okrenula je glavu kad je otvorila oči, bila je u kavezu s Ivicom. Ne, rekla je, ovo nije moguće. Može, šapnuo je Ivica. Marice, bojim se. Sve će biti u redu, zagrlila je Ivicu. Obećam se. Danas će dobro jesti, sretno je rekla vještica Dora. I mislim da će početi s dječakom. Zašto ne sa mnom, pitala je Marica. Mlađa sam od njega i poput elitine mekša, to ne volite? Naravno da volim. Onda, u kotao, rukom je vještica Dora pokaže na kotao. Oko Marice bila je kuhinja, ali kako se ona tu našla? Nije znala, ali trebala je plan i to brzo. Namjerno je pala na pod. Moja noga! Izbog misli na tatu počeše padati suze. Na noge, idete! Uz vratom Marića pokraj Marice bila je stara tava. Instinktivno je uzela tavo i skočila te udarila vješticu Doru koja je izgubila ravnotežu. Prošla je blizu kotla te ju je Marica gurnula u kotao i vatra se podigla. Vještičino vikanje je plašilo Maricu dok je trčala tražiti Ivicu. Preklizala je na travi, ali Ivica je bio uz nju i uhvatio je prije nego je pala na travu. Kuća je postajala nevidljiva, ali još su čuli vješticu Doru. Gdje je? Pitao je Ivica. Gdje je? Nije važno, vratimo se kući. Kad su stigli u kuću, Ivicin tata bio je tu čekajući. Tužno mu je bilo lice. Što ti je, tata? Tvoja mama, počeo je plakati. Bože moj, tvoja mama je umrla. Molim. U kuhinji. Vatra je pobjegla s peći i izgorjela je, prije sam je mogao spasiti. Vatre sad nema, ali kuhinja je malo uništena. Žao mi je, sine. Marice, pitao Ivica, ali nije bila ni u kući, ni u dvorištu, ni u vrtu. Marice! Viknuo je Ivica i ništa. Mama! Još ništa, pa su oni uskoro zaboravili na Maricu. Samo ju je Ivica otišao tražiti prije nego mu je sve nestalo. Istodobno kad se Marica probudila, bila je u kući od bombona. Vještica Dora nije bila, a u kuhinji nije bilo znakove vatre. Probala je otvoriti vrata, ali nisu se otvorila. Isto se dogodilo kad je želila izaći s prozora. Poslije toga je čudno živjela, više kao u snu i dan po dan je starila, dok se jednog dana nije prepoznala u zrcalu. Oko tog vremena je osjećala neobičnu glad. Maštala je kakvog su okusa djece dok jednog dana nije namirisala neki fin okus izvan kuće. Vrijeme je za ručak, rekla je naglas. U sekundu će doći. Već je stavila vodu u kotao, rezala povrće i otvorila kavez. Uz vrata je čekalo dijete koje će se približiti kući da ga može uhvatiti. Malo po malo se sjećala djece u tatinom dućanu i smijela se. O da, ješi svako dijete na svijetu, obećavala je. Za tatu! Sve ostalo je zaboravila. Na taj dan, kad je prvi put spoznala glad za djecu, stigla je Ivica u kuću s nadom da će naći Maricu i je, ali je nije prepoznao. U kotlu se išao i ništa više nije trebao znati. Umjesto Marice je vještica Marica, koja to nije mogla postati bez da je Marica ubila vješticu Doru. Pa ne možeš ubiti lošu vješticu ako ne želiš uzeti mjesto umrtle vještice. Jer svaka loša vještica ima glad za djecom i živi zauvijek, to nije ubijena zbog pametnog djeteta. Nikada nije li dobra ideja jesti kuću od bombona koje se uvijek nalazi u šumi prema rijeci. Samo pazite, djeco, samo pazite. Once upon a time, there lived a witch at the top of a hill near a small village. The villagers rarely saw her that they couldn't describe what she looked like, if she was young or old, beautiful or ugly. They didn't remember that she went to school with them, that she'd been very smart and quiet. Today she is more like a dream to them, and they think nothing bad about her. Every witch has a secret about herself. Sometimes they are powerful in the world and change something, which is why innocent women have been punished instead of them after dark periods in history. Good witches exist, but far away from people because they fear being attacked. The witch on the hill is a bad witch. She eats lost children who eat her candy house. Her father had been a candy maker who made candies, chocolate, and ice cream. For 50 years he worked non-stop under a lot of stress due to dissatisfied customers who never shut up. No, I want a lollipop, not a piece of candy. I've changed my mind. I want a second scoop of strawberry ice cream, not gum, now. That isn't green. Hurry and give me what I want. I have a party to go to. I said 10 pieces, not 9. Quickly. When he died from a heart attack,
Only the witch and priest attended. That same day she moved in with her uncle and aunt, who had a son named Hansel. Her uncle was a good man, but his wife was horrible. She didn't want children, and now she had two. So when her husband left for work, she demanded that Hansel and Gretel clean the kitchen, chop the firewood, and hunt for rabbits. One day, Hansel and Gretel got lost in the woods. They followed a river until they came to a field with a candy house nearby. It smelled so wonderful, and while Hansel had started eating a big piece of candy, Gretel had started crying, thinking about her dad. "Gretel, you have to try this. I've never tasted anything as sweet as this. Yum, yum." Of course, witches can sense children. They always know when they're around because they can smell them. So when Witch Dora smelled Hansel and Gretel, she cut the vegetables, started the oven, and opened the cage. "They'll soon be here," she said out loud. "Soon." Before Gretel could take a bite of a candy, Hansel had already eaten the door. The inside of the candy house, though, looked nothing like outside, and Gretel began to feel nervous. "Let's go see what's inside," shouted Hansel. "I don't know. I don't think it's a good idea." "Chicken!" he shouted before disappearing into the house. While Gretel was walking around the house, she saw a shadow against the house. When she turned her head, the shadow had disappeared. She grabbed the doors on the window and opened them. Everything was empty in the room except for a cage. Hansel was sitting in the cage. With wide eyes, he gestured for Gretel to run. "I won't," Gretel said to herself, "but how can I climb into the window to help him?" Hearing something, she quickly moved away from the window. She opened her mouth to ask something when she saw the shadow near her. As it came closer, everything got blacker and blacker until there was nothing but blackness. She shook her head, and when she opened her eyes, she was inside the cage with Hansel. "No, no," she said, "this can't be." "It is," whispered Hansel. "Gretel, I'm scared." "Everything's going to be all right," she said, and hugged him. "I promise." Oh, I'm going to eat well today," Witch Dora said happily, "and I think I'll start with the boy." "Why not with me?" asked Gretel. "I'm younger than him and like a calf, softer. You don't like that?" "Of course I do." "So, into the cauldron," said Witch Dora, pointing with her finger at the cauldron. Gretel was in the kitchen, but how did she get there? She didn't know, but she needed a plan, and fast. She intentionally fell on the floor. Oh, my leg," she shouted, and because she thought about her dad, was really crying. "On your feet, now, now!" Near Gretel and next to the door of a small shelf was an old frying pan. She grabbed it instinctively, jumped up, and hit Witch Dora, who lost her balance. As she approached the cauldron, Gretel pushed her into the cauldron, the fire rising up. The witch's screaming spooked Gretel as she ran around the house looking for Hansel. She slipped on the grass, but Hansel caught her before she fell. The house had become invisible, yet they could still hear Witch Dora. "Where is she?" asked Hansel. "Where is she?" "Who cares? Let's get home." When they arrived at the house, Hansel's dad was there waiting for them. His face looked sad. "Dad, what's wrong?" "Your mom," he began, crying. "My God, your mom is dead." "What?" "In the kitchen. The fire escaped from the oven and burned her before I could save her. The fire's out now, but the kitchen was damaged some. I'm sorry, son." "Gretel?" asked Hansel, but she wasn't in the house or in the yard or in the garden. "Gretel!" shouted Hansel. "Mama!" Still nothing. Soon they were going to forget all about Gretel, but before that happened, Hansel had rushed out to look for her. Gretel, meanwhile, was back in the candy house. Witch Dora was gone, while the kitchen showed no signs that there had been a fire. Gretel tried to open the doors, but they wouldn't budge. The same thing happened when she tried the windows. After that, she started to experience a strange life that was more like a dream, and day by day, she got older until one day, she couldn't recognize herself in the mirror anymore. Around that time, she began to feel hunger for something not normal. She started wondering what children tasted like when one day she smelled something irresistible outside of the house. It's time for lunch, she said out loud. It's coming soon. And everything was ready. The oven was started, the vegetables were cut, and she had opened the cage. She waited by the doors for the child whom she'd catch at the door. She started to remember her dad in his candy store, and then she smiled. Oh yes, I'll eat all the children in the world, she promised. For Dad. She remembered nothing else. It was that day, when she first tasted the hunger for children, that Hansel had shown up with the hope of finding Gretel there. And he had, but he didn't recognize her. Once he was cooking in the cauldron, there was nothing more for him to know. Instead of Gretel in the candy house, it was now Witch Gretel, who couldn't have existed if Gretel hadn't killed Witch Dora. Well, you can't kill a bad witch if you don't want to take the place of the bad witch, since every bad witch has a taste for children and lives forever until she's killed by a smart child. It's never a good idea to eat from the candy house, which is always in the forest by a river. Just watch out, children.